Good morning, it's Monday morning, 7:30 a.m. That means it's time for True Future. This is a really special episode 204, and I'll tell you why. When we thought up the concept for True Future, we wanted it to be the tech around the world, people, places, cultures, and challenges, and this one catches it. And we bookended the tech in a company, a really great company, KUKA, and then we highlighted some challenges going on in a culture, in particular revolving around immigration. And so we aligned both of these principles together, and we hope you see this in this episode. With KUKA, it's robots, and the world is afraid because they're uneducated around robots, thinking that the robots are going to take their job or going to get consciousness and take over the world, and it's not true. And on the immigration side, it's having people from another country and culture come in, and the culture that's native doesn't understand them, therefore there's fear. And so when we put these two together, we know we have an intelligent viewing audience, and we want you to see that the acceptance of robots in the world makes the world a better place. And the acceptance of other cultures and people makes the world a better place. So I hope you enjoy this episode. It was really, really fun to shoot, but more importantly, it's getting you to think. Enjoy. Done?
Yeah.
Are we ready for the robots? How will technological advances impact the robot and human world? The cobot world. The robots are already here. They are flying our planes and driving our cars more safely than if they were operated by humans alone. What if we thought outside of ourselves for a moment? What if we looked at things differently? Robots will not totally replace humans, but will humans who collaborate and align with robots replace those who do not? Is our species so self-absorbed and perhaps lacking imagination that we to date have designed the robot to only perform the mindless labor that we no longer want to do? A society that collaborates and aligns with others outside of their community will evolve quicker than those who do not. Augsburg, one of Germany's oldest cities, founded in 15 BC. That's right, I said before Christ. This city of 300,000 people is also home to KUKA. KUKA was founded in Augsburg in 1898. It builds robots for the aerospace, automotive, industrial, and medical device markets. They released the very first cobot, which was a robot that interacted directly with humans. Their medical robotics business develops systems that deliver precise patient positioning for pinpoint accuracy for X-rays and imaging, as well as laser-like delivery of radiation that destroys tumors to within 1 millimeter of accuracy. So it burns out the bad tissue, but it leaves the good tissue in place.
That's awesome. I love that. Look at that multi-axis. Again, the engineer in me just loves that. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's like a ballet to me.
And that's what we simulate, that you have here a laser cross, and now the patient position, it takes the patient around the beam.
Interesting.
With an, especially now talking about engineering, with a high accuracy, a really high accuracy.
And the accuracy is below 1 millimeter, so we have to make sure that the tumor stays in the center of the beam. So. And that saves the healthy tissue. So the beam does not always gets connected with the tumor only. So the whole face gets connected with the beam, and so healthy tissue gets
treated when it doesn't need to be.
As less as possible. And patients love to get operated by a robot, for example. So they trust a robot sometimes more than a surgeon on a Monday morning.
Sure, I believe that.
Or Friday evening. I need to go home now.
Right.
I am not 100% sure that a patient loves to be operated on by a robot more than a surgeon. But I do know that introducing a technology that can offer higher predictability and precision in the hands of a surgeon can certainly be loved more than a surgeon who did not have such a tool.
In the near future, I can imagine that artificial intelligence will step in and that the doctor gets additional information on the operating field and the robot gets guided or even stops in certain areas or so, and then tells the doctor, no, please go 1 centimeter on the right-hand side. The robot maybe knows more than the surgeon can see.
The acceleration of technology has introduced new stresses on all of us. The rate of this acceleration has outpaced our ability to assimilate or adapt. We become insecure. We start shouting louder, we start putting up walls, and we create our own insecurities. In 2015, more than 1 million asylum seekers flooded into Germany during the welcoming summer. That caused the tremendous social and economic burden on Germany, and with that, the German government has been under pressure. There have been dozens of refugee shelters established, and they have come under severe scrutiny. Café Tour is in the middle of Augsburg, and we sat with Hannah Ott and Thomas Wilhelm, advocates and activists for these asylum seekers. We discussed the dynamics and challenges of these immigrants and the social changes that have occurred since the welcoming summer.
What are your motivations for helping?
I met refugees, so I had contact, and I couldn't believe the situation, how they have to live in the huge camps, and I was very interested in knowing more about the situation and then helping and supporting. 2015, we had many asylum seekers, refugees. You know
Million
about.
people came in 2015.
Yes, and the situation in Germany changed. Also, the political situation. And
Pro or con? Pro immigration?
The first 6 months or 7-8 months pro, and then it
went anti.
contra. Yeah.
And what concerns you the most, whether it's political, social?
I'm very concerned about the general atmosphere, that it doesn't switch to something very hostile, and that we have to protect our borders and so, but that we really stay to keep human, and also just try to find something that is fair for everyone.
But who defines fair, right? If you're anti-immigration, are you a fascist? If you're pro-immigration, are you resigned to diluting a culture that was so rich, right? That definition of fair, and I agree with you. I'm just wondering, who owns the definition of fair?
Nobody owns it. You have to get in exchange.
Yeah, it's true, because the haters always have a louder voice.
Yeah.
And the people who support tend to have less of a voice. So there is a responsibility to those who are supportive to suffocate the haters, because those haters will get there and bang the bell loud. Because what can happen is we go from tolerance, and then once we go to intolerance, that slides into hate, and that's a very slippery slope. So if somebody came to you and said, we get a chance to do this over, what would we potentially do different in order to make it easier for the asylum seekers and migrants? Would we still let them all in at once? Would we give them better coaching at the border? What would we do?
So the question is, what should Ms. Merkel have?
Not even Ms. Merkel. Yeah, let's not even keep it political. Let's keep it human, right? Not even politics, not even far left, far right.
I mean, the problem was it was not organized. So now we can say, after some years, the German government has not been prepared. The people came, for example, here to Augsburg or to Munich, to all the countryside, and so find houses for them.
Yeah, that's a lot of people coming in the door.
Yeah, so
you have to feed them, you have to house them, you have to find them jobs, you have to give them skills, you have to teach them the culture.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's just like you give your time to the person, and you give also value to what they are and what they bring with them. Like if I tell the person, just don't lose your patience and be prepared that it can be a long path. It's just something that is, even only for giving the person that feeling, is very valuable.
We are living in an incredibly complex world. Yet for some reason, the world has moved towards thinking in more absolute terms. Technology and human movement is occurring at an unprecedented pace. We seem to be understanding less and less about the world we live in. The technology of it, the cultures in it. Or maybe we're just not trying to understand them at all. Identities seem to be more defined by differences and commonalities.
We getting B-roll of this? This is the funnest thing in the whole place. What's the focus of this facility in particular?
This is our main manufacturing line. Robots from 50 kilogram payload up to 1 ton get assembled here in the line on the other end, side tested, and then shipped out to the customer.
So every robot has to pass this hall, gets finally checked, gets warmed up, and we do the final accuracy measurements in this area.
So this is one of our standard working horses of the Quantic series, where we're putting here its maximum payload to the robot. You see the 210 kilograms.
And it almost looks like a gymnasium.
Yes.
Right? You've got the weights on the rack, 110 kilograms, 270 kilograms.
Want to check?
I trained this morning, I'm good. Germany is a very pro-worker country. Really protects the worker. And yet we're building robots to replace manual labor. And so, do we think about creating a new job for the worker? Are we able to increase volume in a manufacturing facility? Does the organization ever talk about that?
As ProWorker, we're very actively, closely working with these organizations that take care of. But it's not just straight that the robots will replace a certain worker. It's for supporting them.
And we had meetings with the Workers' Council from huge automotive manufacturers here in Augsburg, and they demanded for cobots to support their workers because they are facing that they will not have enough workers in the near future. So it's not replacing, it's adding on robotics to existing workplaces.
That's a powerful thought because I think most people in society think replacement.
No, not
right?
all.
No. But not augment. And that cobot is probably securing even more so because you can drop the price of the product if you have a cobot in. And so we could just worry about the cognitive and not just the pure muscle anymore. Yeah, and the same thing in medical. That's what we're doing in medical. It's for right now, it's to here, hold this. Nobody wants to hold that. And you can hold it really accurately and repeatedly and never get tired. And all that technology has come from the effort that we've had forth from the industrial side. So this is another example of big industry, never been in medtech before, and now entering into medtech. And they're creating a broader product portfolio. And so somebody like KUKA getting in, right, because of your expertise, and the market needs that.
It's a perfect description, you got it.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Humans, machines, robots. What level of assimilation should occur? Who manages that assimilation? And who decides what is best? Change often shifts power, and power is rarely transferred or given up easily. How are we going to handle the inevitable cyber-physical integration? How will we handle the human-to-human integration? Does everything have to be in our image for us to accept it or be comfortable with it? You're welcome, True Future.